How do you safeguard the private parts? Safeguarding of the private parts means safeguarding everything that leads to that. So the first thing is protecting, for example, your tongue from speech, which is false and vain. Like not uttering those type of things which are false speech, which are lewd, which are fahsha in it. Those type of speech we have to avoid. Women have been commanded in Surah Ahzab, Surah number 33, ayah number 32, that do not be complacent in speech, lest the one in whose heart there is a disease might be tempted by you. So women are even told that even when you're talking to like non-mahram men, do not be complacent in your speech. Do not have this type of sweetness in your tone, lest a person whose heart is already corrupted, he gets the wrong impression. So men and women are different, right? Men and women are very different. When men talk to each other, it's something else. But when women talk to men, then that's something else. So sometimes the woman might be completely innocent and she does not mean to send any wrong signals. But the guy on the other end is getting wrong signals. Even with a simple salam. So instead of saying, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, you say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And the person thinks, wow, subhanallah, there must be something very good in me that, mashallah, she's giving me such an amazing salam. How are you, brother? You doing good, mashallah? And he's thinking, subhanallah, I am like Mr. Universe. Right? Because of this, you could have said, how are you? I hope everything is fine. But, you have to do not be complacent in speech. Be straightforward. Be straightforward and be firm in your speech. That doesn't mean being rude or being obnoxious or arrogant, but that means just being complacent in speech. Do not be complacent in speech. Don't make it flexible. Don't give the wrong signals. So the men might perceive it the wrong way. So in order to safeguard even this portion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that hukam in the Quran. Likewise, after protecting your tongue, you protect your ears. Protect your ears from listening to vain talk, listening to gossip about people having affairs and relationships. Because when you keep listening to such stuff, listening to like music and love songs and so on, so you know what happens? Because when you keep listening to such stuff all day long about love and you're my number one girl and this and that, you start to think that subhanallah, everybody's falling in love except me. So I need to fall in love also. Oh, she's going out with him and he's going out with her. Now she broke up with him. Now she's going out with him and now this. So you're thinking, subhanallah, everybody's falling in love. Everybody has a girlfriend. Everybody has a boyfriend except poor old me. I don't have a girlfriend. Now what do I do? So the thing is, do not let your ears be the containers of all of this garbage. If a person is talking like this in front of you, walk away. Or say, please change the subject. I don't like to talk about other people's business. Leave that aside. So we have to shut our ears off to such vain speech, because one of the ways to your heart is through your ears as well. And they say the fastest way to a man's heart is through the stomach. Yes, in Pakistan that works. The fastest way to a man's heart is through his stomach. You feed him like nice food, alhamdulillah, you have his heart. The Japanese say the fastest way to a man's heart is through the chest with a sharp knife. And that also makes sense, right? Through the chest with a sharp knife. But Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, one of the Islamic scholars, he said that the fastest way to a person's heart is actually through the eyes. So you need to protect your eyes. Because the first thing that tempts us towards the opposite gender is from the eyes. You look at someone, you find them attractive, then you want to talk to them, then you want to exchange numbers, you want to exchange Facebook IDs, you want to know what's your Instagram, what's your Snapchat, and now you are talking to one another. So it always starts with the look first. You look at someone and then you want to go and take it to the next level. And so these are the things which we have to safeguard. So Ibn al-Qayyim says it is from the eyes. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, tell the believing men to lower their gaze and guard their modesty. And tell the believing women to lower their gaze and guard their modesty. That means that whenever they think that there is a lustful look happening, they should stop that. Also, we are to protect our nose. You might be like, how on earth are we supposed to protect our nose? There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ from Abu Dawud where he mentions that if a woman uses perfume and passes by the people that they may smell it, then she's a type of adulteress. And the Prophet ﷺ, keep in mind, he used to be very careful in selecting his words. He would not mince his words. He would be very clear and he would be very shy also. I would not have said this had he not said it himself. So he said that this is, if a woman walks out with lots of perfume so that other men, non-mahram men may smell it off of her, then this is not on. This is not okay. Because one of the ways to a person's heart is also through the nose. Because you might not have seen her, but when she passed by, you're like, oh my God, it's Parveen. Right? I always keep mentioning Parveen. Parveen and Javed, right? All the time. May Allah forgive me if there's anybody but with that name in this audience. So it could be that your heart might be tempted towards someone because of that very reason. Likewise, we have to protect our body as well. Protecting the private parts means protecting the body. The Prophet ﷺ said that it is better for you to be stabbed in the head with an iron nail than to touch the hand of a woman who is not mahram for you. It is better for you to be stabbed in the head with an iron nail, like a 3-inch nail. It's better. It is easier for you. It is much more acceptable. It'll be much more easy for you to tolerate this if you were stabbed in the head with an iron nail than for you to touch the hand of a woman who is not mahram for you, because what's going to happen to you after that is going to be far worse than a stab in the head with an iron nail. So the thing is, we cannot be going around and touching people who are not mahram, because from the touch it leads to other things. I know in schools, colleges, universities, girls and guys, they might be high-fiving one another. Oh, Pakistan won the match. Oh, Team Zalmi won, high five. And so that high five will cost you. That high five will cost you. Likewise, the person who sometimes they will like push each other from the shoulders, sometimes they will greet each other with a hug, subhanAllah, as if we're living in Paris maybe. And sometimes they will even go as far as to give a little kiss on the cheek here and there. And I've seen this. I've seen this in Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, they say Assalamu alaikum. Or if they're a bit too modern, then hi, and then a kiss here and a kiss there, subhanAllah. They might never do this to their own mother, but to non-mahrams, they might do this. So we have to be very careful. The Prophet ﷺ said, it is better for you to be pierced in the head with an iron nail. And remember, your cousins are included in this. Your cousins are not your mahrams, even if your parents tell you that no, this is just your elder brother, she's just like your sister. No, she's not. No, she's not. I've heard many stories and I've heard many cases where horrible things that have happened between cousins. Cousins who ended up in horrible relationships without marriage, even ending up in pregnancy. And at that point for the families, it is a crisis and a half, I tell you. At that point, when they find out, it is a crisis and a half, because they thought, oh, it's just kids, behan bhai, it's okay, no problem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us these laws for a reason. He knows what He has created. Allah knows what He has created. And He has made these laws for a reason. So we have to be very careful in terms of protecting our body also from the wrong kind of touch. In Surah An-Nur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu la tattabi'u khutuwati shaitan. O you who believe, do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Yani, do not follow shaitan is one thing, right? Do not follow shaitan. No, don't follow even the footsteps of shaitan. Because oftentimes in these relationships, in these haram relationships, the girl or the guy won't come up to you and say, look, I want to have a relationship with you and I want to take it all the way. It won't happen like this. What will happen? It will happen with the first look. It will happen with the smile. It will happen with the exchange of like adding each other on Facebook. It will happen with exchange of phone numbers. It will happen with you and that person sitting in the cafeteria, having alone a cup of tea or something like this. It happens. It is khutuwat shaitan. It is footsteps of shaitan that slowly take you into the fire. So watch out. Check yourself. The moment the first thing happens, realize that you're already on that path that leads towards that sin. And we find from the hadith from Bukhari where the Prophet ﷺ said that whenever two non-mahrams are together, there is always a third with them. And that is the shaitan. Whenever two non-mahrams are together, the shaitan is always with them as the third. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions in Surah Isra, ayah number 32, that وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Do not go near zina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say that do not commit zina. That's something else. But the hukam is do not even go near zina. If I'm at my house and I know that in my study room there is a socket which has its wires exposed, and my 3-year-old daughter wants to go into that study, and I know that because the wires are colorful, is red, yellow, green, whatever, I know that she might be tempted to touch those wires. And if she does touch them, she will get electrocuted. So I don't say to her that do not touch the wire. I tell her don't even go near it. Don't even go into that study room. I am forbidding you. You will not enter the study, beta. You are not allowed to go to the study. That's it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Adam alayhi salam, وَلَا تَقْرَبَ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. He didn't say don't eat from the tree. Eating from the tree was not the issue here. Issue was don't go near the tree. وَلَا تَقْرَبَ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And if you did that, you would become of the Zalimin. So what this means is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't go near something, if you go near it, you are sinful. So a person, for example, he is going out with his girl, they're driving around Islamabad, cruising on the blue area, blue area road, and they're going to Centaurus, and they're having burgers together, they're having happy meals at McDonald's, they're going up to Pir Sohawa, and they're having a great time. And finally, after about 3 months, now it comes time for them to engage in the haram relationship. And so the guy goes up to her, and now they're alone together, and this is the moment that they've been waiting for. And at that moment, the guy says, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't do this, and alhamdulillah, I've been saved from sin. And right now, I haven't been sinful. No, for the last 3 months, he was already sinful. For the last 3 months, he was already sinful. Alhamdulillah, he saved himself from that ultimate sin. But the Prophet ﷺ said, there is zina of the eyes, there is zina of the ears, there is zina of the tongues, and there is zina of the limbs. Each one of them is a type of zina. Yes, the ultimate zina is that one which he just avoided. But if he thinks for a second that I haven't committed any sin so far, then he's wrong. Because for the last 3 months, he was already knee deep in sin. And the ultimate result of it was about to happen when he stopped himself. Alhamdulillah, that's still good, that he saved himself from that sin. But that doesn't mean that he's like free from blame. It doesn't work like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, ayah 5. He says, do not take them, women, as akhdan, as girlfriends. Do not take women as girlfriends. So literally in the Arabic language, it means, for example, you can say secret lovers. Do not take women as secret. And what is a secret lover except a girlfriend? You haven't announced it to like your parents, or look, dad, I have a girlfriend. Oh, really? Right? You haven't announced it. Right? You're always hiding it. It's a secret lover that you have on the side. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not take women as girlfriends. This is an ayah in the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that indeed shaitan, he takes you towards munkar and fahsha. Shaitan wants you to go towards the evil, wicked deeds, and he wants you to go towards fuhsh things that are lewd and wicked. So stay away from all of these types of things. So what do we get from all of this? Laughing, joking, mixing with the opposite gender unnecessarily. This is all impermissible. Is it allowed for men and women to mix at all in Islam? The answer is yes, under 3 conditions. And that 3 conditions is, there is a PPL formula which I often mention in some of my workshops as well. The PPL formula is that your interaction with the opposite gender has to be P for purposeful. The meeting has to be for some purpose. Like for example, the woman goes shopping and she talks to the shopkeeper that please give me this much cloth, or I need this shoe, or could you, no problem, this is for a purpose. Or for example, if you're at school or college, you're working on an assignment, okay, no problem. So it has to be P for purposeful. Number 2, it has to be P for public. It can never be a private conversation. It has to be public. Every time you're alone together, you need to end it right there and say, look, we need to step outside where people can see us and hear us. So it has to be purposeful, it has to be public. And public does not mean sitting in your university garden right at the corner under a tree, where people can see you but they cannot hear you. People have to see you and hear you, both. That's public. If they can see you sitting in a distance under a tree, I don't know, maybe you are discussing geography or mathematics or something, you cannot do that. You have to do it in public. So it has to be purposeful, it has to be public. And number 3, for L for limited. If everything has been sorted out in one meeting, you don't need to have another one. So if you've done the meeting and it works, for example, alhamdulillah, you had the meeting, it's done. You don't need to say, okay, let's meet for a cup of tea in the afternoon. You don't need to have a second one. If one meeting has done the job, alhamdulillah. If you really need a second one, okay, fine, second one. But don't push it. Don't push the limits. So this is, if you remember this, inshallah, you will be safe from any kind of wicked behavior that might lead to zina. Now the issue is, why are people even affected by ishq or lust or desires? There are many causes for that. Why people might be tempted towards this side. Haram relationships. One of them is that they're distant from the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of the reasons that the ulama mention is that when a person is distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he craves love elsewhere. Number 2, the person is distant from the love of his own family also, because the parents never loved him. And this is advice for the parents, by the way. Love your kids. Love your kids, otherwise they will find love elsewhere. And oftentimes you find that people go into the arms of other people because they were never loved in their house. So my father never loved me, my mother never loved me, they never cared for me. But now, subhanAllah, I have Javed in my life who loves what I do. And yes, I have Parveen in my life who really cares about my artwork. Because, when you showed your artwork as a young boy to your mom, "Mom, look, I made this." And she's like, "Please, dafa ho jaye yahan se. I don't need to see this." And so now, when you're in like O-levels, A-levels, now you found Parveen, subhanAllah. And she's like, "MashaAllah, you are an artist. MashaAllah, you're like Picasso. I've never seen a man with such beautiful art." And your art was garbage anyway, but she's just doing it too. So subhanAllah, you find this person and you're like, "You know what, my mommy never loved me. But Parveen, she's special. She's something else. She really cares for me." Seriously? No, she doesn't. And even if you think that, you know what, my daddy never appreciated me, but Javed, wow, mashallah, he really appreciates me. I can assure you for a fact, Javed can never be as sincere as your father. And Parveen can never be as sincere as your mother. I know that our parents sometimes are strict. I know our parents are sometimes, they make bad decisions also, for us. And I know, but I can tell you this for a fact, that you cannot challenge their sincerity for you. Your father, your mother, they're very sincere. Yes, in their sincerity, sometimes they mess up. Sometimes they overprotect us. Sometimes they let us go way too much. But they're very sincere. Even if the parents say, "I don't want you to marry this girl," there is hikmah behind that. Because they can see that, beta, the one you want to marry, I know that our families might not be compatible. Because you're not just marrying that guy, you're marrying into that whole family. So I'm telling you, after you get married, things might be rough for you. Or the kind of house that you're living in, if you kind of go in that house, you might not be able to cope with them. You'll put an extra burden on yourself. But if you think that, no, you can make it, then inshallah, talk to your parents. Have a heart-to-heart with them, inshallah. But the thing is, they can never be as sincere as the person who you're talking to. Because this person, oftentimes, sisters have contacted me with regards to this thing that, there's this guy who's like approaching me and he's very sincere and mashallah, he's asking me to meet and this, that. I'm like, tell this guy to stop talking to you and to talk to your father. And then tell me what happened. If he's seriously considering you as a wife, then tell him, stop talking to me. Talk to my father. And you know what happens? Nearly most of the times, the guy backs out. Right there. If it means talking to your father, I don't want to talk to your father. Then it shows you were not serious. You didn't want to have a relationship. You just wanted a fling. You just wanted a quick experience with someone and then move on. So I asked the sister, you want to be used and abused? You want to be used by men like this? Subhanallah. Yani, have some decency. Have some own haya for yourself. So if there is a guy in your life, tell him, talk to my father. So there's no point talking to me. Because I'm not going to make that decision. Talk to my father, convince him. Talk to your parents, send them over. Stop talking to me. Because that is haram. Let them talk to your parents and that will be fine, inshallah. The third thing that is a cause of ishq and lust is also, as I mentioned earlier, constantly listening to like love songs and reading romance novels and, fantasizing about relationships. So sometimes it's not that people are in love with someone, they just love to be in love. They're not in love with someone, but they just love to be in love. Mujhe bhi pyar hona chahiye. I have to fall in love. Please, I have to fall in love in like 10 minutes. Please, quickly, because my friends are coming over. I need to fall in love so I can tell them, yes, I'm in love too. Just like you guys. No, this is not how it works. So subhanAllah, people fantasize about love way too much. Also, a person with weak character and who has a tendency to follow other people, who is not a leader himself, tends to become a sheep and just go with the flow, as they say. And get into haram relationships. Also, not having right role models. If your role models are actors and actresses, then that's what you're going to get. But if your role models are the likes of the Sahaba and the Sahabiyat and the Tabi'in and the Taba Tabi'in and the great Muslim leaders, Alhamdulillah, then you're set. But if your role models are these chocolatey heroes and these heroines that you find on television, then of course you're doomed straight away. So we should elevate ourselves beyond that. Also, ample free time will get you into this type of thing as well. They say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So the more free time you have, the more messed up you might get. My father, who is from an army background, he would tell us that, because back in their day, they didn't go through tafsir classes like this, and the trend wasn't as common back then. So he said that in my time, what our elders used to do was, they used to get the youth involved in like 5 different sports in a day. So my father was in Hassan al-Dal. He said that it's a cadet college. So he said that when we would be there, our schedule was like very sharp. Like in the morning, early morning, you wake up at Fajr time, then you have Fajr prayer, you have PT exercises, then you have your full day of work, then you have your lunch break. After lunch break, I don't know, you have a sleep for 15-20 minutes, then you wake up and you pray, and then you have this, and all evening it's sports. Tennis to football to cricket and by the time they go hit the bed, they are exhausted and nothing is on their mind. They are just completely blank. But the more free time you have, the more time you spend with this, the more tempted you become to explore. Okay, let me check out her profile. Let me see what she's on. Let me look at her status updates. Oh, that's very sweet. MashaAllah, what an amazing character she has. Like. I like her comments, I like her picture, I like her. So what do? We just waste time like that. And so when you have so much ample time, your heart will incline. So don't have so much free time. You should be productive, doing things, even if it's sports, subhanAllah, even if it's sports. Even if it's like football you want to play, go ahead, play football. But don't waste your time. At least with football, you're physically exerting yourself, right? But don't just sit around and laze around, because that's going to mess you up. Also, people who obsess with too much beauty and glamour, because when you obsess too much with beauty and glamour, you expect people to compliment you. And then you wait for those compliments. MashaAllah, looking very nice. MashaAllah, very nice. MashaAllah, this and that. So being too obsessed with that. And so these are just some of the causes of how you can cure yourself, or rather how you can prevent yourself from getting into these things. As for the cures are many. The cures have to deal with, you have to make lots of dua for yourself. You have to have a lot of sabr. And you have to have company with righteous people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma sadiqeen. O you who believe, have the fear of Allah. Wa kunu ma sadiqeen. Be with those who are people of sidq, people of truth. So if you want to save yourself, then just hang out with righteous people. Hang out with people of sidq. Hang out with good boys and girls. Don't hang out with people who will take you away from that path. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, fear Allah. And I put this in bracket, that if it's difficult for you to fear Allah, then at least be with the people of sidq. Kunu ma sadiqeen. Just be with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't say do their ittiba. Follow them, obey them. No, not obey them or follow them. Just be with them. Wherever the righteous people are hanging out, just hang out with them. If they're going to an Islamic lecture, go there with them. If they're going to the masjid, go with them. If they're going for a charity drive, just go with them. Just hang out with them. Just be with them. Even if they're going for coffee, go with them for coffee. Just hang out with righteous people. Inshallah, that will have a good impact on your own personality. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we should also establish our prayers and seek help through that. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar wa la zikrullahi akbar. Indeed, prayer prevents you from evil, wicked deeds. Prayer prevents you. Imagine if you're a person who prays, right? There is no way you can have a haram relationship. There is no way. You know why I say that? You might be saying, but no, I know this guy who prays and then he has a girlfriend. You know what? Eventually he will have to keep one or the other. Either his prayer will go or the girlfriend will go. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he says, Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar, what does that mean? Imagine a person who prays 5 times a day. Or let's say he was already in a haram relationship, he already had a girlfriend, and now he started praying. So he tells his girlfriend, I'm going to pick you up, baby, I'm going to pick you up after college, 2 o'clock, be ready. She's like, fine, that's fantastic. He picks her up at 2 and he takes her to McDonald's. And they're about to have like a meal over there. So he says, you know what, I love you and everything, but it's time for my Zohar. So let me just pray and I'll be right back in 5 minutes. So the girl's like, okay, fine. And then he goes, he prays Salah. He comes back and he's like, okay, so where were we? And so he starts the conversation again, and now they're having the burger. And he's like, you're so beautiful, you're so amazing. And she's like, yeah, you're very handsome also, mashallah. And now they leave and she says, you know what, we should go to Centaurus and we should just hang out over there and so on. He's like, that's a great idea. Then they go to McDonald's and they actually go to Centaurus, and he says to her, you know what, baby, it's time for Asr. So I hope you don't mind, I need to pray. And she's like, okay. And now she's getting a bit annoyed. So she basically like does her own thing, and he goes to pray Asr prayer. He's done the wuzu, the hair, it's all wet, he's dripping. He's like, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, I made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm back. And then she says, you know what, we can go back to my place. And he says, we can, but I have to pray Maghrib on the way back. So as they're going back, he stops outside the masjid. She's like, please wait, I have to go and pray. He goes and prays Maghrib. And now when they reach their house, She's now making the mood, setting everything, putting on the candles and this, that and the other. And he says, you know what, baby, I love you, but it's time for Isha now. And she says, you know what, get out of my house. Either you will keep your salah or you will keep the girlfriend. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Wala zikrullahi akbar. It is not possible for a man of righteousness, for a man who prays 5 times a day, to maintain a haram relationship. You know, you will begin to see the hypocrisy in your own attitude. How can I be so hypocritical? SubhanAllah, I'm talking to this girl, SubhanAllah, and then I go and I'm bowing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm asking, Ya Allah, forgive me, Rabbi gfirli, warhamni, and I'm making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, SubhanAllah. What's going on? You will find hypocrisy in yourself. So either your prayer will remain or your girlfriend will remain. That's the dilemma that prayer will lead you towards. And I hope and pray to God that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you tawfiq to hold on to the prayer. Because that is your ultimate path towards paradise. So this is one thing. Now, those brothers who say, you know what, I've tried praying and I'm still struggling, I say get married. And if you want to learn more about this, then you can go back to our Kabul and Beyond workshop, or even the Kabul Hai workshop whenever we do it, inshallah, where we actually mention how it's possible to talk to your parents and inshallah convince them that they should get you married, inshallah. Right? Okay, so for women, right now I've been talking about women. With regards to women, how they guard their modesty is by dressing appropriately and by covering themselves. Sisters, you cannot say that my hijab is in my heart, because I can believe that. Okay, fine, you are a person of modesty. But you know, when your hijab is in your heart, then the people don't see that. People see you and how you are. And so they don't see the hijab in your heart, they see what you are right now. And so the men are not like the females. The male is not like the female. And so when the girl is walking in the street, they begin to think about her, and they start to look at her and they will never have this opinion that mashallah she is so respect-worthy and so on and so forth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He mentioned the hukum of the hijab and so on, He said it is that so you may not be harassed by people. So that you may not be harassed by people. So one of the things is that when we protect ourselves, guard our modesty, then we also guard the society from corruption as well. Because men and women think differently about each other.